So the introduction part is done. Today we are going to do UX process. All right. Here we are going to cover what is UX process and methods we are using in the process, how to apply the UX design process practically to whatever the projects you get in the future, and what is empathy and why is it so important in design thinking, user interviews and competitor analysis, creating personas and creating user flows. So we are going to go through all these topics, and there are some more in the UX process part 2 as well. So we are going to cover whole UX process today. So starting off with a project. So what is your design process? So if I ask you this question from any one of you, uh, when client come up with a project requirement, or when he asks you to build a website, what is the process that you normally follow? So if I ask the question from someone of you, what is the normal process you follow when client give you a requirement? How about Randika?
First, we discuss with him, and then uh, we are noting down some of essentials, and then we are documenting that requirement. Then we will plan that likewise.
All right, all right. Thank you. So that is the normal process that we follow. But in a real world, when you work on a large scale project, or when you are working in the industry, there are some standard processes that you should follow. So UX, as a UX designer, you should follow this UX process starting from start to the end. So otherwise, when you don't follow this process and try to approach a project and uh, do the project directly without any research or anything, it won't help you, because at the end of the day, we are designing something for our users. So if users don't like our product, it won't be a successful one. So always make sure to follow the UX design process. So it can apply to any creative job. It can apply to UX design, graphic design, video design, or whatever, interaction design. But in this case, we are going to talk about UX design in a mobile application development or a software industry. So this is the UX process that you should follow in these industries and these domains. So as you can see, the UX process consists of several steps. So a UX design process is an iterative, step-by-step methodology UX teams use to complete. It is not a linear process. You can't finish empathizing and then go to define and follow the linear process. You have to go back and forth. So it is an iterative process. So empathizing is the first part. Is the step that you have to interview your users and get to know your users by empathizing them. Create user stories and affinity diagrams, and everything is happening in this empathizing process. So after empathizing, after understanding your users' requirements and their end goals, their frustrations and everything, then we define. So in the definition process, what we do is we create personas, as I mentioned earlier. So creating personas, and also we create some diagrams, affinity diagrams, and so on. And then after we have some idea about our users, end users, we have documented them, and then we move on to ideation process. So in the ideation process, what we mainly do is we create wireframes based on the requirements we gathered from our users. So in these wireframes, what we do is we create the hierarchy of our design. So these are the features that we should put in our mobile application. Let's say we are going to develop a mobile banking application. So we are interviewing few users in Empathize state and ask them few questions about how they interact with uh, banking applications. So what are the methods that they are using? Are they visiting the bank? Like, are they using traditional ways to transfer money? or are they using mobile application? Are there any competitors that they already using? What are the good things about these applications? What are the bad things about these applications? So all these we will ask questions and get to know and understand our users. That is empathizing. And define is something that we do after this empathizing process. We document our research findings. So we create a card like this with the picture of the person that we interviewed. If it is hard to find his own picture, we can use a stock image, but it should represent his background. And we will add a slogan or the quote, whatever he mentioned during the interview. And we put some background information and some demographics about him as well. And we have this section for motivations and personality and behaviors and habits, goals and needs and frustrations. So we have to ask this question from the users that we are interviewing and get to know about these users well before we creating these kind of a user person. All right. So that comes under define. And also we create affinity diagrams and user flow diagrams in this define process as well. And in the ideate process, as I mentioned, we create wireframes. So wireframe is not the final design. We can use pencil and paper to sketch wireframes, and then we sending it to our designers or the actual users to get their feedback. So that is why it is called an iterative process. Even though we gather requirements and do the wireframes, we can't just move on to the prototyping. So we have to go back and forth and fine tune our designs, and we have to do some more research on the way. So that is why we call it a iterative process, the UX process. Ideate. And after the ideation, we have several rounds of reviews to our wireframes, and then we move on to prototyping state. So in the prototyping, what we do is we can use applications such as Figma or Adobe XD or even SketchUp to do our design. So we have wireframes already designed, and we have to do the visual design and the prototyping by using these applications. So in prototyping process, we come up with a color theme, typography, and everything that visually appealing should be decided and put into our designs in this visual design and prototyping stage. And finally, we have to test our prototypes. So after we create our prototypes using applications such as Figma, we are sending it to our end users or our clients or any stakeholders in this project, and also our co-designers to get their feedback. So if it is good, they will tell you, but most of the time we might have to go back and do our research and fine tune the whole process. So even though if you get a project from a client, and even though he give a precise requirement about the project, these are the requirements and these are the things that I'm expecting from launching this application, you have to follow this process and go back and forth and fine tune your product. So that is how you can create a successful UX product. All right. So this is the process that follow. Number one is understanding the problem existence. So this process is how you can approach, how you can work on a UX project when you get a requirement from a client. So number one is the understanding the problem existence. So as UX designers, what you do is you trying to solve problems that users are facing in their daily life. So you have to make sure you understand the problems, and if there's no any problem, you don't have to solve it. So make sure uh, to understand the problem existence. Most of the time in this space, we understand why we need to create the application. So if there's no requirement, if there's uh, no any problem, so you don't have to create any application. So in that case, you have to understand the problem existence. So that is the first part. Then comes the research phase. In this phase, we conduct surveys, interviews, and find out competitor details. So in the research phase, what we do is we conduct surveys. So we can send surveys or the questionnaires to our users, or maybe we can do interviews, one-on-one interviews. We can invite them to our office premises and ask different questions, predefined questions, hypothetical questions, and questions that we can measure some, like, let's say, uh, about the application that they are already using, and some are some qualitative or quantitative questions that we can gather information from them. And also we can find out about competitors, so we can ask questions from our users about the banking applications that they are already using. So those are our direct competitors. And we maybe have to research ourselves about the other applications that already existing in the market. So you can go to Apple App Store or Google Play Store and download the application yourself and go through it. So you will get to know what are the good things about these applications and what are the bad things. You can also read their Google or Apple App Store reviews as well. And maybe you can interview some users who use this application in daily life. So you will get to know about their uh, good things and the bad things about the competitor applications. And then after we understand the problem existence and we complete the research phase, we are going to analyze the data we gathered. So in this space, we analyze the raw information we have found by using competitor analysis, creating personas, customer journey mapping. So after research base, we create all these uh, competitor analysis, personas, and customer journey maps. So in the analyzing phase, what we do is we all this information we gathered up until research phase are only raw information. So we have to create some meaningful uh, information or the meaningful visualizations by using this data. So everyone else in the team and also the clients will understand about what you have gathered through this research process. So that is how you create analyzing. You analyze whatever you gathered in the research phase. All right. Next thing is wireframe and design. So in wireframing and designing, we create user flows, high level and low level wireframes. So after analyzing, we have an idea about our end users, what their problems are. We can empathize with them. And we have a good idea about the user flow as well. So after that, what we do is we create user flows. User flow diagram is something like this. So I will take an example of mobile banking application. So one user's user flow can be downloading the application, signing up, then add his account details there and send money to someone. So sending money can have this kind of a user flow. So he's opening the application, then go to send money option and add bank details, add account details, add personal details, and at the amount that he want to send, and finally press the send button. So that is the user flow, simple user flow for sending money to someone else through mobile banking application. And high level and low level wireframes is low level wireframes can be pencil and paper sketches. So you can do pencil and paper sketches after you analyzing your data. And if you want to present these wireframes to your clients or your team members or even users to get feedback, you may have to create high-level wireframes. So high-level wireframes are somewhat improved version of these low-level wireframes. You can use applications such as Figma or even any other application, Pencil or even SketchUp to create these high-level wireframes, presentable wireframes. And finally, after you do the wireframes, after you send them to your users and the stakeholders to get their feedback, and you can fine tune these wireframes. So you have to go back and forth and maybe you have to do the research again based on the feedback that users have given. And finally, let's say you have streamlined wireframes. And then we are going to move on to the visual designing and testing. In this space, we create visual designs for the application with the feedback I have taken from the wireframes. The visual designs are again shown to the client or put them to the test again to understand the applicability of the solution and then roll back to any stage or proceed to implementation. So after creating final wireframes, we move on to the visual design. So in the visual design, uh, the UI designers task actually up until here, the understanding the problem existence, research pace, analyzing pace, wireframing and design. So all these are most of these tasks should be carried out by the UX designer. Visual designing and testing can be done by the UI designer. So we talked about the differences between UI and UX last week as well. So in visual designing, what UI designer do is he create visual designs based on these wireframes. So he will select a color based on the requirement and typography and all the elements in the screens. So all these things is the responsibility of the UI design. So that is the process that we follow when we get a project in a UI and UX industry. Okay, now we are going to discuss about these steps in detail. So number one is empathize. So empathizing is understanding your users. So you understand your users by asking these questions. What problems they have, what they need, what they expect from your application, what they think about your application, what are the problems in existing apps. So let's say we are going to develop a ride sharing application. So you have to ask questions from your users. What are the problems that they are facing in daily life when they try to book a ride? So they may tell you some examples, not enough taxis, or even internet or the connection issues, or even some of the applications are not working uh, in their area. So maybe those are the questions that they are facing, what they need. So when you understand their problems, next thing you should ask them is what they need. So they will tell you what they need and what are the things that they are expecting from an application that we are trying to launch. That is the third part. What they think about your app. So if you have a demo, if you have a working prototype, you can show it to them, ask them what they think about your application. If there's any flaws in your design or it is hard to use, they will directly tell you. And you can see it as well when they try to use your application. If there's any roadblocks or if the user flow is not that good, they will get stuck in your application without moving forward. So you will get to know what are the things that you should work on in order to make it a good application. Next one, what are the problems in the existing apps? So finally, we can ask about the competitors. Are you using any other competitor applications? What are those applications? What are the problems that you are facing when using these applications? And what are the good things about these applications? So you can learn about your users by asking these kind of questions. So in the empathizing process, these are the methods that we can empathize with our users. Number one is user interview. So that is the most effective way to communicate and get uh, details about your users. So if you interview few users, at least 5 to 10 users for the product, you have to create a questionnaire or a plan. You should plan your questions as well. You can invite some of your end users to your office premises and do one-on-one interviews. So in these interviews, you will get to know about the problems that they are facing and what they need, and all these questions you can get answers to your problems. And it is different from interview questions. So if you don't do a physical one-on-one interview, you can create a Zoom interview and ask some questions, but it can be different. So the best thing that you can do is do a physical interview with a few of your users. In that way, you can empathize with them. You can interact with them, and you can show them that these are the things that we are going to do in our application. These are the areas that we are going to focus. Do you like them? And maybe you can ask them to work, like do a transaction or book a ride using your prototype you already designed. And in that way, you will get to know about your design, and is it good design, is it a bad design. So you will get to know by following these users interaction with different screens. So these are the interview questions that you should prepare. So let's say we are going to create a bicycle riding application where users can track their bicycle rides, so create bicycle routes, riding routes, or share their details with some other fellow cyclists, and so on. So these are the interview questions you should ask in that particular scenario. Why do you ride a bicycle? What do you expect from bicycle tracking application? Do you use any other bicycle tracking app? If it is, what are they? What are the problems in this application? What features you need to have in your app? So we try to understand the user by asking these questions. So first one is, why do you ride a bicycle? So we are asking different users. So let's say we are interviewing one user. When we ask this question, he may be more into health and the exercise. So that is why he's riding a bicycle. Some other user want to lower the carbon footprint. So that is why he's riding a bicycle. Some other user is thinking about he has some money concerns. So that is why he's riding a bicycle. Another user can, his office is too close to his house. So he don't find it a good idea to use his car in daily basis. So that is the reason he's riding a bicycle. Next one, what do you expect from a bicycle tracking app? So based on these questions, this we can ask the second question. What do you expect from a bicycle tracking app? So the person into health might say he want to see how many calories that he have burned during the day and how much money he saved and so on. So those are the answers that you might get from the users when you're asking these questions. Do you use any other bicycle tracking application? If it is, what are they? Then we are going to ask about some competitors. So competitor analysis is also really important because in that way, we get to know about the problems that they're facing when using these applications. And also, we can understand the good things and add those good things to our product as well. So do you use any other bicycle tracking applications? So that is competitor analysis. What are the problems in that application? So then we are asking what are the problems they are facing when using these applications. So they will tell you. Uh, for an example, one user might say the tracking or the navigation is not working properly. Another person might say they face connectivity or mobile reception issues. Another user might say, let's say, uh, the application has bugs or it crashes when he try to use it. It doesn't have a good UI. It doesn't have a good user experience. It is hard to use. So those are the problems some users might be facing when using these applications. And finally, we can ask what features you need to have in your application. All right. So final question will uh, get like customized answers or personalized answers from users. So someone into fitness might say, I want to see the calories I burn in by taking a bicycle to my office. Or another user might say, how much money I saved in monthly basis by using bicycle rather than using my own car or any other transport method. So those are the features that you should implement if most users are asking for the same features. All right. Now we are going to discuss about these questions in detail. So as I mentioned, Why do you ride a bicycle? The users might say, I want to look fit and healthy. Another user might say, I want to keep track of places I travel and improve on the time I spend for cycling. Another one might say, I want to feel motivated while cycling. I like to share my interest in cycling with my friends and encourage them to take part while having friendly competition with fellow cyclists. So these three users are somewhat similar, but the fourth user, he want to share and encourage some cycling with his fellow cyclists. I want to be updated with my today's trends and wear decent outfits. So that requirement is completely different from what we already discussed up here. I used to travel short distances. So another user might give that answer. So the second question we ask is, what do you expect from a bicycle tracking application? One user might say, discover the best cycling routes. Save and share your favorites. Get inspired to reach new cycling goals. Track your fitness with Trip Cycling Activity Tracker. Record routes. Map your favorite bike trial or run. Analyze your training with all the stats. So track your fitness with Trip Cycling Activity Tracker. So this user might be using some wearable that he can track his calories and the steps he's taking in daily basis. Maybe how many he might be have targets, how many calories that I should burn, how much steps that I should walk in daily basis. So you can feed this data from their wearable to your application and show them the visualizations about the uh, data about the bicycle tracking that they do in daily basis. Record routes, map your favorite bike trial or run so other users can use the same map and favorite trial and analyze your training with all the stats. Number three, do you use any other bicycle tracking application? If it is yes, what are they? So users might give you an idea about other competitors that they are using. Some users will give answer like, let's say if you ask the question about ride sharing application, most of the users in Sri Lanka will give answers like similar answers. They might be using Pygmy or Uber. There are other competitors as well, but those are the two main competitors if you try to build an application. Okay, what are the problems in that application? So after they give an idea about what are the applications that they are using, we can ask question about the problems that they are facing when using these applications. So they will say issues with tracking. So tracking issues can be there. So for an example, uh, they want to track how much, how many, what is the distance that they travel, how many kilometers. So if your application is not tracking accurately, there will be an issue. So they won't use the application because they know uh, the certain ride will take this amount of time and this amount of kilometers. But if your data is not accurate, there will be an issue and they won't use your application as well. And then OS compatibility. So most of these users might use Apple or Android. So if your application is only for designed for developed for Apple or iOS, so Android users find it uh, like difficult to use your application. So they won't be able to use your application altogether. So you have to make sure your application is OS compatible as well. So those are the main two operating systems that you have to work on. So even when you are designing your user experience or UI, you have to make sure you do designs for both of these applications. So you have to consider Apple ecosystem as well as Android as well. So some features might not work well on both these applications. So you have to customize based on the operating system as well, OS compatibility. Too much facts. So if your application is giving too much facts, for an example, some people don't expect you to give so many facts about the calories or the health related posts. or articles or anything. So if you are trying to give too much facts, users will get disappointed. So they don't want that much of facts. They simply want to see how much calories they burn and some simple things. So if your application has too much facts or statistics, they won't use that applications as well. So that is another problems that their users are facing with their competitor applications. Rapid application development. So that is something that developers or a design team face, the problems they face when they try to develop an application. So after you do your research and gather requirements and interview few users and create wireframes, uh, what we design, we launched to market a product called minimum viable product, MVP. So in MVP, what we do is we only put the features, like necessary features. We don't try to put so many features there. We just trying to uh, get the idea about do users like our application? Should we pivot, or should we move on with this application? Should we add more features? So we can get idea about the market and what people think about our application. So if you don't develop an application rapidly, if you don't put your application to market in faster time, if you take so much of time, if you take 1, 2, 3 years to launch your application, uh, your research or your designs will be outdated. So your application won't be a successful product. So you always have to make sure after you do the research, you have to launch your product to the market in time. So that is when rapid application development come into place, especially when you're developing a minimum viable product to launch to the market and get an idea about your product from user downloads or user reviews from the uh, actual users. Trouble placing a challenge. So another user, he trying to place challenges with his fellow cyclists. So if your application don't have that feature, uh, that is a problem for that particular user. Next one, what features you need to have in your application? So that is the fifth question that we are going to ask in our interview. Users might answer, discover the best cycling routes, save and share your favorites, get inspired to reach new cycling goals, track your fitness with Trip Cycling Activity Tracker. Next one, uh, he will say record routes, map your favorite bike trial or run, analyze your training with all these statistics, track how much you save your money and fuel by using a bicycle. Buy bicycle parts. Use for short distance travels. Keep a to-do list and reminders. So the expectations about the features are different from user to user. There will be similar requirements as well. So you have to make sure you add most viable, most required features in your initial launch. So as you move on with the application, you can ship these features one by one. But in the initial launch, you have to make sure you put all the necessary features and don't put so many things in your uh, application. So those are the questions that we can ask from our users when we do user interviews. So next we are going to discuss about competitor analysis. So competitor analysis is also really important. Understanding your competitors. Let's say for a ride sharing app, if you're trying to launch a ride sharing app, you should research about your competitors as well. One way you can do is you can ask questions from your uh, from actual users of these applications, or you can read Google or Apple App Store reviews, or you can download this application yourself and try to try to use it and get to know about the competitor. So what is competitive analysis? One of the critical steps when developing a new product is finding out where you stand with the competition. So by analyzing about other competitors, let's say, again, I'm taking the same example, ride sharing application. So when you are trying to design or develop a ride sharing application, you have to do your competitor analysis and find out where you stand with the competition. So in Sri Lanka, if you do a ride sharing app, the main two applications that you have to consider is Pick.me and Uber. And there are some other competitor applications as well. And there will be some indirect competition like taxi services where you have to call and book a taxi, or even car rental services, or even public transport, or any other uh, related or indirect competition. You have to understand and get an idea about all these competitors in this competitor analysis step. Competitive analysis is a necessary part of the design process to help businesses gain valuable insights into market, identify the strengths and weaknesses of their products, and develop effective product strategies to create winning results. So understanding your users or understanding your competitors is also uh, a must-do task if you're trying to launching an application. So in that way, you will get an idea about the strengths and weaknesses of these competitors. So if I take the ride-sharing applications again, what are the weaknesses that these applications have? What are the good things that we can get from this application and put on our application? So those are the questions that you should ask when you do competitor analysis. Okay, why conduct competitive analysis in UX design? By conducting competitor analysis, you can assess where your product or design stands in the market. So let's say you don't do any competitor analysis or anything, and you directly launch your product, and you don't have an idea about where you stand. So are the who are our end users? What users should we target when we advertise it? So all these uh, will be hard to do if you don't have proper competitor analysis data. Define any gaps in the market. Let's say by using competitor analysis, you found out that there is a market gap, especially during rush hours. There's no enough taxis to uh, book. For an example, during office hours or even in Colombo area, there's no enough taxis when you really need them. So if you can answer this kind of a problem, if you can give a solution to this kind of a problem, your application will be a successful one for some users. And let's say you have some of these applications are only in several cities. So person in some other area want to book a taxi, and your application have services in these areas. That is a successful uh, application. So you can apply your application and make it a successful one by analyzing market gaps uh, in the industry or the domain that you are launching your application. Know the strengths and weaknesses of your competitors. So by conducting competitor analysis, you get to know about the strengths and weaknesses of your competitors as well. You can ask questions from your users, and you can even use application yourself, or even you can go to Apple App Store or Google Play Store reviews. Identify the advantages and disadvantages of your products. So by analyzing all these strengths and weaknesses, you can identify, is the application that we are going to develop have any advantage when comparing to some other application? What are the disadvantages users might face if we launch the application like this? So those are the questions uh, that you can get answers to by conducting proper competitor analysis. Have evidence to back up your design changes. So let's say you come up with a design and you don't do any competitor analysis and directly go to the design. So if you get some design inspiration from some competitors, the placement of the search bar, the menu, or the icons or something like that, the design team members or the client or even users might ask questions. Why is this like this way? Why did you place your search bar on top? Why did you hide your deactivate button? What is why did you design your onboarding process like this? So if you don't do proper research, you don't have any evidence to back up your design decisions. So if you do the research thoroughly, you will get an idea about why other competitors are doing the same thing. So you can back up your design decisions by giving evidence. So these applications are using the similar UI. So if we try to design a different UI with different placements, users won't like it because they get used to some applications. So they have particular mental models. So they are expecting the same design or the UX from our application as well. So those are the things that you can tell when they ask about when they question about your design decisions. And finally, helps you solve usability issues. So most of these applications, when they're launching application and when they stay in the market for longer period of time, they do usability studies. They check for the usability. And you can learn from these applications and solve your usability issues from the first go. So otherwise, if you launch your application without any usability or accessibility in mind, you might have to redo the application, redo the design, and rethink about your colors and everything. But if you learn from your competitors how they use different icons, how they use different uh, user flows, you get an idea about the usability and you can solve these usability issues for your users from the first go. All right. These are the steps that you should follow to do a UX competitor analysis. Number one, outline your goal and define your product. Okay, so I took the example of ride sharing application. So outline your goals. So what are the goals that you have? Who are your target customers? So what are the short-term goals? How many downloads that you need in several time, like taken time period? Or what is your ROI, return on investment? How much money that you want to make after 1 year or 2 year? What is your product launching plan? What is your advertising plan? And define your product. What are the things that your users get by downloading this application? What are the competitive advantage when using your application and not some other application? Compile a list of your direct and indirect competition. So after understanding the goals and the product, you have to compile a list of your direct and indirect competition. As I mentioned, in ride sharing applications, some other ride sharing applications can be direct competition. Indirect competition can be taxis or uh, car rental services or even public transport and so on. Create a comparison chart of the competitors' product features. So you can create a comparison chart by adding all the features on your x-axis and list down all the competitors on your y-axis. And then you can put ticks or the crosses based on their features that they're giving in these applications. Identify the differences between products. So you can, by having this kind of a comparison chart, you can identify the differences between different products. One competitor might have one feature and other person don't have. One competitor's pricing might be good. The other competitor's pricing is too high. So those are the things and the differences that you should compare by using competitor comparison chart. Summarize and present your research findings. So even though you do your research, you do competitor analysis and user interviews and everything, finally you have to summarize and make it presentable. So you might add some data visualizations or graphs or whatever, and you have to present your research finding to your core team members or even the client or the stakeholders or even uh, the users in some cases. So you always have to make sure you create a proper diagrams, create proper data visualizations or documentations and present it to your users. It can be a actual presentation where you uh, gather these people and present it yourself, or even you can create a video, explain a video, and summarize and present your research findings. Okay. Any questions so far regarding computer analysis or empathizing with your users? Let's move on. So we talked about UX design process and we talked about the empathizing step and the steps that we can do to uh, interview few users and how you can create a competitor analysis. Those are the things that we discussed up until now. Next topic is creating personas. So creating personas is also a really important step in UX design because when you are launching, when you are trying to design an application, let's say for an example, you are trying to launch a mobile banking application for a particular bank. So you know that the end users can be something around 1 million, let's say 1 million, and you can't interview all of these users. So what UX designers or UX researchers do is interview few users that you think that represent all these users. Let's say we interview 20 to 30 users and we take them from different backgrounds and we interview them and we uh, make sure that they represent all these 1 million users. So for an example, as I showed you earlier, this is the persona. So after you interview your users, you can create this kind of a persona. You can create this kind of a persona with all the details that have gathered from this particular user. His background information, his motivations, and all these goals and needs, frustrations, and everything should be there in that document. So you can name them as well. So one user's name can be Lucas and another user's name. It don't have to be actual names, but if you can name them based on their personality, it will be great. So other people in the team will understand what kind of a user this one is as well. And also uh, you can profile them properly and understand and empathize with them whenever you try to create a user story or the wireframe based on all these users in your personas. All right, what is a user persona? User personas are archetypical users whose goals and characteristics represent the needs of a larger group of users. Usually, a persona is presented in a 1 or 2 page document. So as I mentioned, user personas are archetypical users. So they uh, sometimes they don't uh, have to be actual users, but they should represent the needs of the larger group. So the example I taken, the 20 or 30 people that we are interviewing should represent the 1 million people that we think that will use our application in the end. Why are user personas important? It will help to build empathy. So when you have this kind of a picture and all this information, everyone in the team know who this user is and know about his weaknesses, know him about his uh, background information, and what are his frustrations, what are his goals, what he like to do. Uh, and based on those, you can build empathy among these users. Provide direction for making design decisions. So when you try to do designs, there will be co-designers and co-developers and even project manager in your team. So you can communicate with uh, these people, and when they do a design decision, like taking a design decision, selection of colors, typography, placements of buttons, button sizes, and everything. When you have these kind of personas, you know that this person will this person like the button placement? Will he like this particular color? If someone is in elder generation, will he be able to tap on this button? Will he able to see our screens, see this color properly? So you can provide direction for making design decisions as well. Communicate research findings. So when you do a research, uh, you can, like, let's say this user's name is Tom and this is Jane or someone, some other people. So you can directly tell your team members that I have found that users like Tom will like this kind of a feature in our application. So you can communicate directly. So the people in the team also know that who you are talking about. So the communication will be good as well. Next one is creating a user persona. Number one, you should have a persona name. So it can be a real name or it can be some other name that you like, but it should represent this particular user and his background or ethnicity or whatever. Next, we should have a photo. We should have a photo as well. So by having a photo, we can uh, like empathize with him more clearly. So you should find a photo that matches his profile as well. The name and the photo should match all this information that he has given. All right, next one, demographics. Gender, age, location, family details and everything should be there. So as I mentioned, the age, occupations, status, location, archetype and everything, every background information should be there in your persona as well, demographic information. Goals and needs should also mention. So in this particular persona, goals and needs are also mentioned in bullet form. So it is easy to read and understand for anyone in the team. Pain points. Pain points is also there as frustrations and also bits of personality, like quote or a slogan that captures the personality. So this one right here, this quote or a slogan captures his personality. And we have behavior and habit section as well. So you can add whatever the sections, but these main sections, the picture, the quote or a slogan, the name, the background information, motivate, goals and needs, frustrations are should be there as basic things. All right. Now we are going to discuss about user flows. So user flow diagram, let's open a user flow diagram. Okay, what is a user flow? User flow is a diagram that shows the path a user goes through when using your product from the start point to the final interaction. So if I take this example, this is actually a mobile banking application. The user start his process from here with the start button, and then we direct them to the login page. So if the login is correct, we will guide them to their accounts. If it is incorrect, we will give them an option to retry login. So if the retry login is successful, we will direct them to the view accounts. Otherwise, incorrect more than 3 times, we will prompt them to reset password. Otherwise, they have to log in again after resetting the password. So if the login is correct, view accounts and view credit card balance, and all this information will be displayed. Okay, in the password reset process, so if the email that he's entering to reset his password is correct, we are sending password reset email. So he will direct to login page and he can put the password that they have added right recently and log into the account. Otherwise, we are asking to re-enter the email. And if the email matches, we send the password reset link. Otherwise, doesn't match the database, we guide them to the registration process. So this is a simple user flow diagram for a banking application. So you can understand that, let's say, when you try to do your wireframes or anything, so if you have a user persona and user flow diagram, you have an idea about what are the screens I should design. So in here, we have to design login page. In here, we have to create retry login, view accounts page, view credit card balance page, password reset. So these are the screens that you should design when you uh, do your wireframes or actual UI design, visual design. So why user flow important? It is an easy and fast way to visualize the process. So let's say you don't have any user flow diagram and you only have user persona and you are trying to create the wireframes. So even though if you alone in your team, it is really hard to visualize the process. So you every time you have to visualize and do that, it can be error prone as well. So let's say you are working with other team members and you can't visualize like everyone in the team can't visualize the same thing. So in that case also, having a user flow diagram is really important to move forward. Allow to better learn your audience. So you can, by referring to this particular diagram, you can learn about your audience as well by like, let's say this is the ideal user flow that they should follow. What else that we can do to make it streamlined? So if they uh, like if we give this kind of application to our users, will they follow the same process or are they going to follow something else? So you have to make sure by creating user flow diagrams as well. Helps to eliminate malfunctions. So if you have a user flow diagram like this, if there's any malfunctions in your design, it will give you, it will show you that if you go from here, the start, the login page, you can easily find out what are the malfunctions. Are there any roadblocks? Are we blocking our users' interactions? Can they reach the endpoint easily? So you can consider those by having a user flow diagram. And it helps to better communicate as well. So by having a user flow diagram, everyone in your team will be able to communicate. They can be on the same page and they can uh, like uh, tell their research findings, tell them what they think about different screens and different places, a decision making process like this. Uh, so it is also give better communication as well. Okay, so that is UX process part one. So now let's go to UX process part two. Okay, these are the things that we discussed. What is UX process and the methods we use, how to apply the UX design process practically, what is empathy and why is it so important in design thinking, user interviews and competitor analysis, creating personas and creating user flows. Any questions so far? Fatima,
No, sir, clear.
Randika? Okay, Randika asked a question. Do we always have to create personas? Aren't there any standard or pre-proof? So if you're approaching a UX related project, it is a good practice to create personas. So in that way, you can empathize with your users. Otherwise, let's say you interview few users and you don't have any documentation. You only have the raw documentation or the things that you have written down during the interview. So that is not presentable to your core team members or the stakeholders as well. So by creating personas, you can communicate with your users, and it will help you to empathize with your users more easily. Is it clear, Randika?
Yes, thank you.
How about Samidu? Any questions? Sandali, any questions so far?
No, sir, everything is clear.
All right. So let's go through the UX process part 2. So in this process, we are going to discuss about things more into UI more than UX. So in the visual design, we have something called color psychology and color theory. In color psychology and color theory, you know that most of the colors, actually, all the colors that we use in the branding or mobile application or anything, represent some kind of a human emotion. So red color is bind with the danger. The green color is with success and so on. So we will discuss about these colors and the human emotion or the message these colors trying to convey. And color theory is the process that you should follow when selecting color combinations or the colors for your applications. Typography is also important when you try to design or develop an application. Let's say based on your end users. Let's say you are trying to develop a professional application for banking. So if you create that application, you have to consider when you're selecting a typography, you have to select some professional typography. Uh, in the other case, with let's say you're trying to design an application for kids, a quiz or something like that. So in that case, you can select some playful font to get their attention. So typography is also really important. Style guide is something that UX designers or the UX practitioners or even UI designers create when they create a branding guideline, new brand, logo, images or anything, and we create a style guide. And we also have something called design system, what most of the UI designers and UX designers do in the industry. So in design system, what we do is we create components, reusable components that users can use. I will show you a few examples when we go through style guide and then style guide and then component creation as well. Then we have UX laws. There are some UX laws that you should know when you apply your UX skills to your projects. There are some few, actually there are quite a lot of laws, but I will cover some basic laws and those that you should know when you're approaching a project. And finally, we create wireframes. So those are the things that we going to do. Okay, we created this Figma page last week as well. Okay, let's start off with color psychology. What is color psychology? It is a branch of psychology studying the influence of colors on human mood and behavior. The thing is that our mind reacts to colors while we usually do not notice it. The moment our eyes perceive color, they connect with the brain, which gives signals to the endocrine system, releasing hormones responsible for the shifts in moods and emotions. So as you can see, like the way different colors influence in different ways. So the example I took earlier, the red color is bind with the danger, whereas the green color is with success. So we can apply the same physical examples in our designs as well. in this example, the stop color, the road sign is bind with red color. So the users know, even without thinking, that they should stop their vehicle. It is something dangerous, some action that they should cautious about. And even the hospitals and the navigation, they are using this red color to represent the same idea. Meaning of colors. To convey the right tone, message, and call users to make the expected action. Designers need to understand what colors mean and what reactions they evoke. So, as I mentioned earlier, different colors evoke different reactions from different users. So now we are going to discuss about these different colors. Number one is red color. The color usually associates with passionate, strong, or aggressive feelings. It symbolizes both good and bad states of mind and soul, including love, confidence, passion, and anger. In design, the use of red color is an effective way to draw users' attention. Also, it's recommended to use red sparingly to avoid negative reactions. So these are the emotions that evoke. These are the things that bind with the red color, passionate, strong, and aggressive feelings. If you want to convey this kind of a message to your end users, you can use red color. But when you are using red color, you have to use it sparingly, which means you have to use it with some other color. Let's say white and red, black and red, so to avoid negative reactions. So much, if you have so much red in your design, it will give users eye strains as well. They won't be able to focus for long hours as well. So make sure to use it sparingly when you do your designs. So in this particular onboarding process, they use red color background to get users' attention and tell the users what they can do with this application. And in here, when users fill a form, for an example, if they make a mistake, we're showing it in a red color. So error state can be shown in a red color as well. Emotional response. So when you double tap a picture on Instagram, so you see this kind of a red color heart. So it is the emotional response. So users get to know that they perform some action, and also it will give you some satisfaction. It will give you some feedback about your action as well by using these micro interactions in red color. So in this shopping cart, remove item from a cart is colored in red. So it is an action that you have to perform with caution. So that is why this check icon is in red color. So if you remove it, it won't be there in your cart anymore. Potentially dangerous action. So when you try to deactivate your Facebook account or LinkedIn or any other account, they will first thing, the deactivation is hidden in some other place. So you can't directly deactivate the account. You have to find where you can deactivate, and then when you go inside, all these deactivate related tasks are in red color. So users have to make sure it will give users an idea that they are performing some potentially dangerous action. Okay, that is red color. Now talk about orange color. It is an energetic and warm color, brings the feelings of excitement. Orange combines red's power and yellow's friendliness. So it may bring feelings of motivation, enthusiasm, and love to life. Designers use the color if they need to give the spirit of creativity and adventure. So like orange color, in the color wheel, orange is the color in middle of red and yellow. So it combines the red's power and yellow's friendliness as well. So these are the feelings of motivation, enthusiasm, creativity, and adventure are the messages that orange color trying to convey if you are using it in your UI design. So in this particular online merchandise store, they are using orange color as the main accent. So they are trying to convey creativity, enthusiasm, these messages by selling these designer t-shirts. Next one is yellow color. This is the color of happiness, which symbolizes the sunlight, joy, and warmth. Yellow is thought to be the easiest color to visibly see. What is more, it has one of the most powerful psychological meanings. Users seeing yellow color in the design can feel inspiration and confidence. Although you need to remember that too much of yellow may bring negative reactions, such as the feeling of anxiety or fear. So yellow color is the color of sunlight. So you feel warmth, you feel joy when you see yellow color in physical, when you experience it physically. So you can apply the same thing in digital world, and you can use it to convey these feelings that users already have. So inspiration and confidence are the main things that yellow color is conveying. But you have to make sure you use yellow color cautiously. Too much yellow may bring negative reactions. So it will give you eye strains as well. Likewise, the red color or the yellow color, you have to use it sparingly with different colors like black and yellow or white and yellow, some darker yellow accent, and so on. So in here, they are using this hero text, the main text, the yellow color text to get users' attention and give them some confidence and inspiration about the product that they are trying to sell. All right. Now we have green color. It is often called the color of nature, balance and harmony. Green brings of growth and inexperience. It has more positive energy than most other colors, but sometimes it associates with materialism. Design in green color perfectly suits the product connected with nature, calming and renewing feelings. Also, it is a sign. So green color is color of nature. And if you want to give users positive energy, you can use green color. In some cases, if your product is related to nature, if your product is carbon negative, or if you're trying to reduce the carbon emission by launching a product, something like that, you can use green color in your design. In here, it is related to the trees or forest or the nature, so they can use the green color as a background. So apart from that, in our designs, in our application, we can use yellow colors to state success. For an example, if user fills the form successfully and submit the form, we can give them this kind of a green color tick with the green color accent uh, button and all. Most of the time, the submit buttons or the success buttons, that the action that users are supposed to do, are highlighted in green color. So the users know that if they click this button, it won't do any harm. So that is the idea behind putting green color in call to action buttons. So in here, they have highlighted a good deal in green color. So the users get to know if they select this one, they will get a good deal. So it is trying to convey the message that this is a good deal, and it users uh, click on it more often than not. All right. While red means stop, green means go. That is why green can be used to encourage users to participate in some activity. For an example, Stripe prompts users to sign up with a green button. So you can use this kind of a green button for asking users to sign up in your call to action buttons. So if we take this example right here, the left hand side design has green color button and right hand side has a red color button. So in UX, we have a test called A/B testing. So in A/B testing, what we do is we create two designs, a similar design, but if we want to test something, let's say we want to test the button color. So we send this particular green color button version to 50% of our users, and other 50% will get this red color version. So after some time, let's say 1 month or so, we analyze all these analytics. How many users click this green color button? How many users click this red color button? What is the percentage of total users click on this? What is the percentage of total users click red color? So when comparing this, uh, it has found out that green color buttons are more effective than red color buttons. So users will click more often on green color buttons rather than red color ones. Next one, blue color. It often represents some corporate images since blue is the color of trust. It usually shows reliability, may give users calming feelings. However, as a cool color, it also associates with distance and sadness. So designers need to keep it in balance. Give me a second. Okay, these are the things that blue color represent, the trust and reliability. So, but blue is a cool color. So you have to make sure that you use the correct shade, like correct tone of your color as well. Otherwise, users will get some other idea about your color. So you always have to make sure keep your balance, because the blue color has lighter shade, darker shade, and those representing different messages. So in here, the blue color background with white color text is used here to convey the trust and reliability for this particular business. Next, we have purple color. Long associated with royalty and wealth, since many kings wore purple clothes. It's useful for presenting some luxurious products. It's also a color of mystery and magic. It mixes the energy of red and blue, so it has balance of power and stability. A big concentration of the color may distract users' mind. So if you want to convey the feeling like mystery or magic, or if you have any luxurious product to create a design for website or a landing page, you can use a purple color theme. So if you can convey these messages, if you put too much of purple, it will distract users' mind. So they won't be able to focus on your website for so longer hours. So in here, they have used purple color and the purple shades in their design with green color or the mint color text on top. All right, now we have pink color. It is the color of hope, sensitivity, and romance. Pink is much softer than red, so it creates a sense of unconditional love. Pink is associated very strongly with youthful femininity. It may be an effective color if the target audience is mostly girls and young women. So as you can see, the pink color is preferred by the female. And if your application is targeting these kind of users, you can use pink color accent. So if you take example, for an example, let's say applications that pregnancy tracker application or banking applications that dedicated to women can use this kind of a color as the accent color uh, to give this kind of a message to their target audience. So in here, this particular uh, website have yellow color accent and they may be targeting this particular users. Then we have brown color, the color of security and protection like the Mother Earth. Designers commonly use brown as background color in a variety of shades, from a very light to deep. It brings the feelings of warmth and comfort to the designs. Also, it may be used to show experience and reassurance. So the brown color you can use to uh, convey the message of warmth and comfort and experience and reassurance. So in this kind of a like jewelry or some expensive item, you can use brown color to represent that particular message and get their reassurance and the comfort, give some messages to your users. All right, finally, we have black color. The color has great number of meanings. It associates with tragic situations and death. It signifies a mystery. It can be traditional, modern, and serious. Everything depends on how you employ it and which colors go with it. Black matches well with any other color, so it's ideal for the background. Designers often use it to set contrast. So black color is widely used nowadays with the black color theme, so dark theme. So when you select a color, make sure you use it sparingly with white or black. So it will improve the readability. And let's say you have a text-rich website where you expect your users to read content from your website, you may consider using white color background because we are so used to reading books in white color paper and black color text. You can apply the same thing with black color, dark theme as well. So most of the time when we try to read in darkness, in night time, it is preferred to give a black color background with lighter gray color text. So it will reduce the eye strain and people can focus and read for long hours as well. So we will talk about black color or the dark theme as well. Okay, next we have white color. The color means purity and innocence, as well as wholeness and clarity. White often associates with a blank sheet of paper, motivating people to generate new ideas. However, too much white can cause feelings of isolation and emptiness. In design, white is commonly used as a background color, especially for the resources for which readability is a vital part. So here we have described the messages that the white color trying to convey: purity and innocence, as well as wholeness and clarity. So even if you go to Figma or any other designing application or even Photoshop Illustrator, it always gives the artboard or the design paper in white color because we are so used to it even from our childhood. When we try to do a design, we always do it on white paper. So it will give us creativity. So for an example, if I have different color design, I'm not used to it. So I won't be that much of effective when creating a design in some other color paper when comparing to white color. So blank sheet of paper is in white color, motivating to generate new ideas. And also, when you want users to read your content, if you have a blog or if you have a news website, you can use white color as the background and use some readable font. So it will increase and improve the readability of your content and your website altogether. In here, they used white color background with black color text on top, so you can easily read this content without an issue. All right. So those are the main colors that we discussed in the section. Color meanings in branding. Colors are vital factor for not only the visual appearance of products, but also in brand recognition. So in branding, colors tend to have more direct meanings than in common understanding. They can briefly describe within a few words. So here is the list for you. So when you take some brands, for an example, let's say Coca-Cola, the red color that they are using, you can recognize it easily. And some other fast food chains as well, they are using red color, and some other brands in Sri Lanka and globally, they are using different colors to represent their brands. So as soon as you see particular red color, I'm again taking Coca-Cola as an example. Soon as you see this red color, you know what they represent, what is the brand. So that is the brand recognition and color meanings in branding as well. So if we use red color, it will show confidence, youth, and power. Orange color conveyed friendly, warm, and energetic feeling. Yellow, happiness, optimism, and warmth. Whereas green, peace, growth, and health. Blue color is for trust, security, and stability. Purple, luxurious, creative, and wise. Black, reliable, sophisticated, and experienced. Whereas white, simple, calm, and clean. Now let's talk about color preferences. Blue is the top color. Both men and women of all ages think of blue as the favored color. So if you take all the colors and do a, like, let's say, survey, both men and women of all ages think blue as their favorite color. Brown and orange are in dislike. The first one considered less favorable among men. So the brown is less favorable among men, and the orange is less favorable among women. Cool colors are preferred. Men and women favor blue, green, and their tints in general. So the cool colors such as uh, blue and green are preferred among both of these genders. Women like tints. When men prefer pure or shaded colors, ladies are good with tints, lighter value than the hue of that color. Men prefer achromatic colors. White, black, and gray are neutral colors, and men are keen to choose them. Okay, if we take this particular infographic, so you can clearly see 57% of men like blue color, whereas 35% of women also like blue color. So that is the dominant color when combining both of these genders. And only 1% of men like yellow color, whereas 1% of uh, women like gray color and white color. So you can get an idea about the genders and the color preferences by referring to this particular diagram. Okay, these are some points you have to consider when you selecting a color. Color psychology is rather complex to understand and learn. However, it may become an efficient tool in designers' hands, helping to understand users and their demands. Choose colors wisely. They have deep influence on the users. Make sure your designs and its colors convey the right message and tune. Okay. The first one says that color psychology is a complex and understand to learn. However, it may become a efficient tool. So if you have some experience with, if you design for 3-4 years, you get an idea about the color psychology. So what are the color combinations I should use in different applications? So it will come with the experience, and I invite you to research more about color psychology and how you can apply these principles in your designs as well. Choose colors wisely. They have a deep influence on the users. So let's say, as we mentioned, different uh, genders prefer different colors, different demographics prefer different colors. So you have to make sure you have to consider all this when you are selecting a color for your application based on your end users. Make your make sure your design and its color convey the right message and tune. So if you're like using very dark color, let's say a dark shade of blue color, so it will convey a different message. Lighter version of similar blue color will convey a different message. So you always have to make sure, if you are designing an application uh, based on your target users, let's say your target users are professional, so you may have to use some dark shade of the blue color. If your target audience are let's say kids or someone, you can use some playful or lighter version of similar blue color. So it will convey the right message and tune. So if you don't use this color, the darker color for the professionals, and use lighter color, it won't be a good match for them. So you have to consider that point as well. Learn your target audience. The color preferences and meanings depend on many factors, including age, gender, and culture. So you have to make sure you research about your target audience and consider these factors. Age. If your application is more used by more elder people, they won't like some playful colors, youthful colors. So you have to make sure you use some colors that these people can see as well. So we talked about accessibility guidelines in first week. So you have to consider about the accessibility as well. And in about diagram, we talked about gender and how different women and men like different colors, prefer different colors. So you have to consider that as well. And colors have some cultural values as well. So different cultures have different meanings to different colors. So when you design a system, when you design an application, for these particular users, if your target audience in that particular demographic, you have to make sure you don't select a color that they don't like. You have to select a color based on your target audience. Some colors may look different on the screens of different devices. Additional testing may never hurts. So some colors may look different on screens on different devices. So as you know that our different screens, let's say Apple have different color profile, RGB Apple color profile, and some other monitors, LG, Samsung, or any other screens have different color profiles. So it is a good practice to uh, test your design with these different devices as well. So it will give you an idea about the colors you have chosen and how it will look like in different devices. It may be a good idea to test the UI colors with representatives of the target audience. And also, when you're selecting a color and when you're applying the colors for your visual designs, make sure to interview some of your users and ask them, do they like this color? Are they finding any difficulties when try to interact this with this layout when it has this color? So you always have to make sure you ask your representatives as well. The next one, try to make color combinations wisely in the best way for the user's perception. So even though if you select a good color based on the message that you want to convey, color combinations is also uh, something that you have to select wisely. So if you select a white color as your background, make sure based on your requirement. If you want your users to read your content, you have to select contrasting text color or a foreground color in your designs. So color combinations are also really important. So let's take a 15-minute break. And when we come back, we will do the color theory and we will start off with some Figma designs as well. So I will share the Figma board again if uh, again in group chat. So if you don't have a Figma account, please create a Figma account and join this board. All right. Before the break, we were talking about the colors. So now let's do the color theory. So what is color theory? Color theory is the collection of rules and guidelines which designers use to communicate with users through appealing color schemes and visual interfaces. So we talked about different colors and different human emotions they may evoke. Now, in color theory, what we do is we have this kind of a color wheel where we have primary colors, secondary colors, and complete color wheel. As a designers, we have to combine colors to create good user interfaces. So when you selecting a color scheme, you have to consider several things. You have to first thing that you have to consider is that who are your end users, the target users. So what is the human emotion? What is the message that you want to convey to these users? And in what tone? How you should select a color based on all these. So in the color wheel, we have these primary colors. the red, yellow, and blue color. And when secondary colors came into play, we have all these colors, and this is the complete color wheel. So I took this from Interaction Design Foundation. So if you go to Interaction Design Foundation, they have some courses, the free courses as well. So I invite you to visit that website, and they have free courses and they have paid courses as well. And they have these kind of tutorials or the infographics that you can get a better idea about the theories that we are learning in the classroom as well. I will add some links to our classroom so you can follow them as well. So these are some basic color schemes that we are using. The first one is monochromatic, where we use only one color from the color wheel. And then we have analogs, where we use three colors next to each other in the color wheel. In this case, we can select the yellow color as the main color, and this lighter green, and also this lighter orange color. Complementary is the colors next to each, like opposite to each other in the color wheel. If we take this yellow color, we can select this purple color. If we select this blue color, we can take this darker orange color. So likewise, a split complementary is if we select this yellow color, the color next to it, like opposite to it, is purple color. We select the colors next to opposite color. So the yellow color, the directly opposite color is purple. The colors next to each other is this blue color and this pink color. Next, we have triad. So triad is actually mostly used in print industry. So it is actually, if we take the 120-degree angle from 360 circle, it will give you three colors. So each of these is 120 radius. So you can take this yellow color and this lighter blue color and this red color. Tetradic is similar. If you take 90-degree angles, if you draw lines in 90-degree angles in this particular color wheel, the four colors you get is tetradic color scheme. All right. Now let's talk about difference between RGB and CMYK. So I think most of you know already that RGB is the color scheme that we are using in digital interfaces like digital devices used for digital and web media. It is an additive color scheme, whereas CMYK is used for print media, subtractive. So RGB colors, even if you select different color scheme in your Photoshop or Illustrator, when you print your design, the colors can be little different. So that is the reason. So most of these digital screens have RGB color scheme, and when we print, it only has these limited colors like CMYK colors, where they uh, create colors using these main colors. So that is the difference between RGB and CMYK. So when you create an application, let's say you have an application that you print a report for your users. So in this particular report, you have to make sure you test your colors by getting an actual printout. So that is a good practice to do if your web application or a UI application have that kind of a scenario that users needs to get printouts. All right, now let's talk about these colors in detail. Number one is monochromatic. It is based on one color with various tones and shades of it. So we are only selecting one color from the color wheel, and we are using different shades of that same color. Might be lighter yellow or a darker yellow or something that matches this particular design. The monochromatic harmony is always a winning choice, since it's hard to make a mistake and create a distasteful color scheme. So as a starter, when you're starting off as a UX designer, it is a good practice to use this monochromatic color schemes. If you find it difficult to combine two colors, try to go with monochromatic color scheme. So you can select one color and use the shades of that color in your design elements. So in that way, you won't make any mistake and you won't create a distasteful color scheme as well. So make sure to use monochromatic when you start off and with the experience. I don't say that you have to wait till 1, 2 year experience to use other color schemes, but with some experience, with 1 or 2 projects you do, you get to know about the colors and color combinations. You can research and you can get inspirations from Dribble and Behance about what other people do. And in that way, you can move on to other color schemes as well. In this particular design, we use blue color as our main color, and we use lighter blue and white color as our other accent colors. So the message this particular design want to convey is something related to space. So the blue color is representing space and the sky. So this one matches the idea, and also it uses the monochromatic blue color and lighter blue version of the same color. Next, we have analogs. To create analog harmony, you need to use colors located right next to each other on the color wheel. So if you want to create analog color scheme, you can select three or four or even 2 different colors that are next to each other in the color wheel. In this particular case, I have selected the yellow color, and the colors next to it are this lighter green and lighter orange. This type of color scheme is used for the design where no contrast is needed, including the background of web pages or banners. So if your design is not required any contrast, if it doesn't have any readable content or something like that, you can use analog color scheme like this. The background and the everything is using the analog color scheme from this part. These 3 colors are the ones used in here. Okay, next we have complementary color scheme. The complementary scheme is the mix of colors placed in front of each other on the color wheel. So as I mentioned, the colors opposite to each other. If I select this yellow color, the purple color is the opposite color. If I take this orange color, this lighter blue color is the opposite color. This scheme is opposite to analogs and monochromatic since it aims to produce high contrast. So if we use this particular color scheme, let's say I'm going to take a screenshot of this and put it in my design. Let's say I'm going to create a button with the text. I'm going to use this opposite color. I'm going to use purple as my background color, and the text color is the opposite color. And now let's say this is my button. And you can clearly see that there is a contrast. So now let's select colors next to each other. So this color. So the readability is not that good. So when you use complementary color scheme, the color contrast is really good. So you can differentiate between your background and foreground color. So the readability will be increased when using complementary color scheme. So in this particular infographic or a diagram, they use that particular blue color with these colors, this purple color to increase the like opposite colors to make it more stand out from the background. Next, we have split complementary. This scheme works similar to the previous one, but it employs more colors. So as you can see, complementary color only have 2 colors, the yellow and the purple. But split complementary can have 3 colors. Apart from the main color, it has two colors that we can select from, the blue color and the orange color in this particular case. For instance, if you choose the yellow color, you need to take two others which are adjacent to its opposite color, meaning the blue and pink. So the yellow color is here and the opposite color is the purple, and colors adjacent to each other are these two. So we can use these three color combination in our design. The contrast here is less sharp than in complementary scheme, but it allows using more colors. So if I use this split complementary in my same button I used earlier, so let's create another button. Okay, now I'm going to I will tell you how to do all this in Figma as well. So this is just for demonstration purpose. So if I select my first color as this one and the second color as this, you can see it is contrasting, but when comparing to the first one, not that much contrasting, especially the one with the pink color part. So that is split complementary. All right. In this particular design, they have used red color and the orange color and the yellow color. So, and also the green color as the accent color. Okay, next we have triadic color scheme. When the design requires more colors, you can try triadic scheme. So if you design something that require more colors, like more than one or two colors, you can use this triadic scheme. It is based on three separate colors, which are equidistant on the color wheel. So equally distance between these color wheel. To save the balancing with this scheme, it is recommended to use one color as a dominant and other as accents. So if you want to make a good balancing triad color scheme, you have to make sure you use one color as a dominant color and other two as accents. For an example, in here, the dominant color is the red color, and they are using other colors as an accents in this particular design. Okay, next we have double complementary or tetradic color scheme. The double complementary color scheme is for the experienced designer who is since it is more difficult to balance. So if you have more experience in designing and color combinations, you can use this double complementary color scheme, which give you more colors, four colors in this particular case. It employs four colors from the wheel, which are complementary pairs. If you connect the points on the chosen colors, they form a rectangle. So if you draw it like this, they form a rectangle. The scheme is hard to harmonize, but if you do everything right, the results may be stunning. So in this particular quiz or online learning platform, they are using different colors to different level or different categories of your design. So it is somewhat nice, but you have to make sure you harmonize or you mesh colors wisely and apply them wisely in your designs. Okay, these are some color tools that you can use. You can create color palettes and you can use them in your designs. So color palettes are something that users you will create when you try creating designs. So after you creating wireframes, when you start off your visual design, the thing that you have to do, one thing you have to do is decide on a color scheme. So when you choosing a color scheme, you have to consider all these things I mentioned. You have to consider about your end users, how they will interact with this system. What is the message that you want to convey by using this system? So all these things, once you consider, you can select a color scheme. So you can create a dominant color and then some percentage of other, some accent color and so on, based on your user requirements and the things that you learn from your user interviews. All right. So these are material design colors, and material design is Google's design system. So it has different colors, and it start from 900 and go till 50. So the 900 is the darkest, whereas the 50 is the lightest color. So if you into front-end designing or development, you can learn about material design, and even there's a platform called Tailwind. So Tailwind also have these colors. So you can use these colors in your design. So the front-end developer will find it easy for him to uh, code his design as well. So the Tailwind is widely used nowadays, more than material design and Bootstrap. So I invite you to go to Tailwind and get some colors, and all these have different color combinations, and the 50 is the lightest color, whereas 950 is the darkest. Okay, this is another app. It is not available anymore, but you can use those 2 or 3 color schemes that you already know that I showed you as an example. All right, so I'm going to stop the presentation for now, and let's do some Figma practicals. So we are going to continue with gradients, and using gradients, the dark mode, and some, and then typography. Those are the things that we are going to cover next week. So let's go to our Figma board. I will keep this somewhere else. Please join the Figma board. I already shared the link on Google Classroom, the Zoom chat. Right, let's see who is here. Samidu is here. Sandali is here. Who else? Fatima, can you join the Figma board? Okay. Everyone is here, I think. So what I'm going to do is, let's say I gathered requirement and created this kind of a wireframe based on users' feedback and the users' interview. So this wireframe right here, it is the onboarding process. So on the onboarding process is something that you show your users when they download your application for the first time. So they get an idea about what you can do with this particular application and what are the features in the application and so on. So what we're going to do is we are going to create this first screen. So I will introduce you some design practicals, design best practicals that we should follow when creating a design using Figma for the industry. So the first thing I want to mention is that I'm going to use something called atomic design principle. So in atomic design principle, what we do is we create a basic elements, which we call atoms. So I will write it down here. Atoms is the basic elements that we use. So atoms can be this kind of a text or even an icon or anything that very basic elements in this screen. So if I take this one for an example, these dots right here, this can be an atom. And this image can be an atom. This text is an atom. Whereas this text right here can be an atom. And then by using these atoms, we create molecules. So I will add that one as well. So molecule is something like this. So if you use these atoms to create molecules, for an example, you create this button using these atoms, text from the atoms. So we call it a molecule. And you create this particular screen or these buttons, complete button set using this one button, one atom. So that is why we call them a molecule. And finally, after creating molecules, we call them species. So we create a whole screen by using these atoms and molecules, which we call species in atomic design. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first create these atoms in this particular design. So I want you to consider this first design only. Let's crop it so you can forget about others for now. Okay, this is our wireframe. So I'm going to create that. The basic thing I'm going to create is these buttons right here. So in order to create that, so I will
Yes,
introduce, yeah, go ahead.
can you explain again atoms and molecules?
Yeah, sure. So I
Okay.
will give you an example by opening, okay, this one. Okay, so this is an application I designed for some crypto tax reporting company. So in here, you can see I start off with a very basic element. So very basic elements can be these kind of a texts, typography. So those are the basic elements in this designs, these toggle buttons and also these forms and the buttons, tab navigations and everything comes under atoms in this particular case. And in the molecule section, I use these atoms to create different elements. So this card is using different atoms. For an example, it's used typography. It uses this image, which I have created in this atom section. So that is molecules. And by using these molecules, the things that we created in this section, I have created the final product, which I call species. So that is how the atomic design is working. So I will uh, go through some practicals as well. So it will give you an idea about how you can use. So is it clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So if I take this particular example, as I mentioned, the very basic elements are these dots is one thing, and this typography and even this scheme. And let's start off by creating these dots. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dots. So I'm going to create one dot and let's give it 16 by 16. So there is an easy way that we can follow to create reusable content. I will introduce it to you later. Right now, I'm just trying to create this for the demonstration. Okay, now this is my basic element. So that represent this part. Hope you can see it clearly. I will zoom it in a little bit. All right. So it has, as you can see, it has two states. One is this colored one, like we show what is the screen that they are currently in. And the other one is not filled. One is filled with black color, one is not filled, and those are the other screens. So I created the filled one. So let's give this one some stroke as well. I'm going to use this particular blue color for both designs. Okay, now this is my filled button. So I need something that don't fill as well. So let's rename this as dot. So always make sure to give meaningful names to your elements or whatever you design. Otherwise, when you have so much elements in your screen, it will be hard for you to navigate or do changes. not even for you. When you do a design, you have to send it to some other designer or the developer. So they will find it hard to distinguish between different elements if you don't name them correctly. So name it with a meaningful name. I call it a dot. Then I created another one. So one thing you can do in Figma is create a duplicate design. You can press Control plus D to create a duplicate. So in Macintosh, it's Command plus D. In Windows, Control plus D. So it will give you this kind of a clone or a duplicate of the same design. So I want it to be not filled and like this. So I have two buttons here. So these are the basic atoms in my this particular navigation design. All right. So I need two of these, three more of these. I created three more. Now, what I can do is I actually can drag these and align them properly. But that is not what you do in Figma. You don't have to manually adjust them. In Figma, what you can do is you can select all these buttons and then create a frame, not group selection, frame selection. So you have to click on frame selection and it will create a frame. So I will give it a meaningful name as, let's say, dot navigation. And then you have these properties right here on right hand side. So please, if you're new to Figma, please watch the tutorial. For now, I will introduce you to Figma tools and everything. I invite you to go through all these buttons and the everything that you have in Figma layout. But for now, these are the basic things that you can do in Figma. So we will create this design and finish it, and I will introduce you to Figma tools and more advanced tools in coming weeks as well. So I created this frame. Now it is under dot navigation. So we have all the properties of that frame here. So we have an option called auto layout. So I don't want to align it properly from my end and do the changes. So let's say I have one button here, one dot here, and another dot here. So this is the way it is. So if I click on auto layout, it will align properly. Like this. Okay, so if I give vertical layout, it will align vertically. If I give horizontal layout, it will align horizontally. Whereas if I have this kind of layout, it will create this kind of a wrap. So it will take the size of your outermost division and adapt based on the width of that one. So I want it to be horizontal, so I will select horizontal. So this is the horizontal gap between each of these elements. You can see that it is highlighted in purple or pink color. So this is the gap. So if I want gap to be something around, let's say 8, I can change that value. So this is the gap I require. All right, so now it is auto aligned, and this is the navigation, the dot navigation element that we require. So as you can see, it is not centered. So in order to make it centered, what I can do is I have to select the dot navigation and then click on this align horizontal centers. So it will center that particular navigation inside the design. Okay. So I will go through the component creation and how you can create reusable components next week. But right now, let's create other elements as well. Okay, next one we have to create is this particular image right here. So I will go to Google and grab an image from there. Let's take this one. So when you're pasting an image, if you don't have any division or if you don't designed anything already, you can just paste it like this. But if you want it to be inside some square or something, you can create a frame like this. Let's create a frame and maybe the width should be 340 and the height is 300. And then you're going back to our Google and then click on copy image and paste here. So it will put the image inside that particular box. So you can drag the image and resize it as you want like this. So now we have two basic elements. We have dots and we have this image as well. So I want to make it center to my design. All right. So now I have two elements. Now let's say I want to add some border radius to this one. So this one have option called corner radius under frame. So let's give it some value about 20. So it will look like this. Okay. Now it has some other content as well. It has these two buttons right here where I have to create. It is actually for the navigation. People can click on those and go back and forth with the layout. So in order to do that, uh, I can manually create design. So I'm not going to use, I actually can use a plugin to do that, material symbols. For right now, because I haven't mentioned it to you already, I'm going to use SVG from website. So this is a good website that you can get SVGs from, svgrepo.com. So I will go and search for arrow. Okay. Okay, this is the one that we require. Download SVG vector. And put it in my design. So now this is my next button. I can easily do it using plugins as well, but just in case if you don't know how to do it, this is the way that we normally do. All right, now I want to change the size of this particular button. So I'm going to give it the size of 32 by 32. It's too small. It's going 64 by 64. So this is my next button. Right here. And I want it to be inside a frame. So I will give this frame color. Okay. So select the frame first and then click on fill and it will add a fill color to that one. I want that arrow to be the blue color, the same blue color I used in here. Okay, this is my button and I'm going to do auto layout and then this one and then give some border radius. I want it to be a round, so I will give 100%. So now I need to add some padding as well. Okay, now it is center aligned. Then that is my next button. I'm going to use it right here. And I can use the same next button to create this particular previous button as well. So what I'm going to do is, so you can't see the complete circle right here. So what I'm going to do, I will give it a drop shadow like this. So the drop shadow color also, I want it to be blue color, and then blur should be something around 2. So it looks like this for now. And then I'm going to create another one with the same design by clicking on Ctrl+D to create a duplicate, and then put it right here. So I want it to be the other way around, the flip horizontally. So I'm going to go to flip horizontal option by right clicking on that particular element and click on flip horizontal. So it will look like this. Now I have 2 buttons. Now let's group them together. Let's give this image a proper name, image folder maybe, and then give them arrows. This one is next, this one is previous. Okay. Now if I do auto layout, it will adjust automatically, the align automatically. So you don't have to worry about that. Now if I want to align this center of the image, I can drag little bit and it will show me guidelines. So this is in the center horizontally as well as vertically when comparing to this particular image. So now I created that part also. So that is also done. Now I have 2 more things, this typography and this paragraph and these 2 buttons. So let's create the typography part. In order to do that, click on this typography option and then drag it to whatever the size you want. And I'm going to type level up. We can change our font from here. I'm going to use Poppins as my main text. Let's change the color to our main color. Okay, I want it to be centered. And also I need another paragraph below that. So I'm going to create that paragraph as well. So actually, when you don't have any text content in your website or in your documentation, you can go to websites like Lorem Ipsum and copy some content from there and put it as dummy content in your website. So I'm going to put them here and then reduce the font size to 12 pixels like this, and maybe change the color of text to this particular color. Okay, now I have my design for this dot diagram image as well as heading and also for the text. Now I only have to create these 2 buttons. So in button creation, I'm going to create them as components. So you will be able to see what I'm going to do. So number 1, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to type text for this particular button. Let's call it share and increase the font size maybe, so you can see it properly. So that is the text for our first button, and we have second button as well called skip. Okay. So after you type the text that you want inside your particular button, put it inside a frame, and let's call this button and give it a fill. So I want it to fill with this blue color we already selected. And then I'm switching on auto layout, 30 pixels, adding. So after you create it, you can clearly see that there's no padding. So the button needs to have some padding on x-axis as well as y-axis. So in order to add padding, we head into this auto layout section again, and then add horizontal padding. I'm adding 30 pixels horizontal padding and 10 pixels or 5 pixels vertical padding. So this is how my button look like right now. And then I need to add some border radius as well. So I will give some border radius to that by adding 30 as my border radius. So my button is done. Now, if you change the content in here, it will automatically adapt the size of the content. So you don't have to worry about the responsiveness or change the button size again when you design it. So let's type again, share. All right. Now I'm going to put it right here. And we have another button, skip. So I'm going to change the background color to white and the text color to the blue color. Skip. So I want to align all these to the center and it is properly aligned. So this is not a final product, the high fidelity product, but this is what you can do to uh, create a wireframe. So this design, I think you got an idea. Is it clear? If you don't get it, please try to refer to the recording, or else you can ask me right now. And I want every one of you to reproduce this particular design. You can start off by creating this particular dot diagram right now, and you can do the remaining part during the weekend as well. So let me, if you have any questions, you can ask now. So maybe I can redo it or demonstrate it to you again. Can you start off with this, creating this particular dots? I want you to create this diagram. It don't have to be similar design. You have your creative independence. You can create whatever you like, but this hierarchy should be there, the wireframe. So if I redo it, so it will be easier for you to follow. Okay, let's recreate the same thing. So in the meantime, please create your designs as well. So first thing I did was I created a circle like this. When you're creating a circle, please make sure to draw with shift button pressed. Otherwise, it won't give you the similar size. It will affect the aspect ratio as well. So shift key and draw will give you this kind of a design. So let's do a quick introduction to Figma. We have 20 minutes, so it will be easier for you to get what I'm saying. Okay. Okay. This is actually I have to do in the 4th week, but I will do it right now because I focus on more practical things in the classroom rather than giving you theory whole 4 weeks. Because in the industry, even though you know theory very well, if you don't have hands-on experience with these tools, it will be hard for you to work or even find a opportunity to get an interview. So let's start off with Figma. UI design with Figma, introduction to Figma, Boolean operations, responsive grid layout, auto layout, components, variants, and responsive design. So these are the things that we are going to discuss. Introduction to Figma, Figma home screen, community, and Figma design file. So when you download Figma application for the first time, when you try to use it, you have this kind of a layout. When you sign up, so you can actually go to figma.com. Figma.com and click on get started and then sign up and download the application for your device. So Figma is widely used in the industry. You can do so many things with their free version as well, almost all the things with some limitations. When comparing to other applications such as Adobe XD or even SketchUp, it allows you to do so many things in their free version as well. So always uh, a good practice to download the application. They have a web version as well, but it will give you more control. Or if you have any connectivity issues, it will save your file locally if you have uh, designed using Figma downloaded application. So head into your Figma, head into figma.com and sign up and download the application first. And after you download the application, I think it is really straightforward. Don't have to worry much. You just have to sign up with using your Google or Facebook account and then download. And after you install the application, it will again ask you to sign in with your credentials, your email and password you have given in the sign up. And then it will prompt a web verification. And after the verification, it will show you all the details, all the things that you have in your Figma profile. If you don't have any projects done, even it will give you this kind of a layout. So we have new design file, new Figma Jamboard. So I will focus on new design file for now. So in here, uh, we have Figma home screen. So in the home screen, we have our account name, and then we have our recent documents, our company, and our projects I did, the different folders. And in here, we have all the tabs like Google Chrome. They have tabs to the horizontal scroll. So we have design file and Figma Jamboard, and you can import any designs if you like, previously done designs. And then we have these buttons here, and we have option called Explore Community. So if I click on that, it will give you the community. So like any designers, like most of the designers who use Figma, they like to share their designs. So in Figma community, you can follow, get valuable codes, UI kits, wireframes, any designs that you like that previously done by fellow designers. So they are sharing it for everyone because it is an open source platform, the Figma community. So everyone can share whatever they already done and you can get an idea. You can use some of these designs as well in your design. And maybe when you do a good design or icon set or whatever, you can publish it to this design community as well. So let's head back to our home screen. All right, now let's click on this and create a design file. Figma Jamboard, I will discuss it in later weeks. So design file, uh, create new design file somewhere. Okay, so this is the design file. So when you click on that, it will give you the design file. You can rename your design file by clicking here. Let's call it UX Figma, and it is under drafts folder, and its name is UX Figma. So in here, you can see there are options. So if I go through this one by one, you can open a new window, new tab, save file as Figma, save version history, export frames to PDF. So we will discuss this when we have some design in here. All right, so let's create some design. The first thing you have to do is you have to create a Figma board. So in order to do that, click on this particular frame and it will give you some options. So it has options for creating a phone layout, tablet layout, desktop layout, presentation, watch, paper, social media posts, Figma community design, archive. So I'm going to use desktop and then this particular desktop design. You can rename your design by double clicking on the particular frame. So I'm just going to say it a desktop. All right. So after you created that particular desktop, you have pages here. So I'm in the page number 1. You can add more pages as well, up to any pages if you have the paid version. But if you have the free version, you can only add up to 3 pages. So you can rename pages by double clicking on these particular pages as well. All right. So if I click on this particular desktop, it will show that the horizontal axis, it has a ruler. This starts with 0 and go up to 1440. So the width of this particular desktop size is 1440 and the height is 1024. So 1024 in the y-axis. So that is the Figma basic layout. So if I go through these one by one, you can move your Figma board by selecting this particular cursor and scale it by using this one, scale option. So I'm going to undo it. And you can create a frame by using this one as I did earlier. And selection or section, you can create a section by using that section element. So it will create a section for your design. So it is helpful when you have a large scale project with different UIs. Let's say for an example, you're creating a website with home, about us, contact us, and different pages, and you want to categorize based on different pages as well. So I'm going to name this as home, and then when I have about page, I can create a section for that and so on. And then we have a slice option as well. So it is similar to what we have in other like Photoshop or Illustrator. It will slice out certain part from your design. So when you have a design here, I will show it to you and we can use it to cite certain parts from our design. So likewise in other design tools like Illustrator or Photoshop or anything, we have these tools as well. So we can create a rectangle by using rectangle. So when you're creating a rectangle, if you press the shift key, it will give you a uniform actual rectangle. So otherwise, uh, the square. So otherwise it will actually give you a rectangle. So it is not uniform. And then you can create a line by creating a line like this. And then we have eclipse and also arrow keys. And you can change the design of the arrow key to whatever you like, arrowhead style and so on. And then we have polygon like this, and you can change the uh, count of the surface as well like this. And you can create different shapes by using this particular element. And we have star, and you can change the sides of the star as well, number of sides. And you can place image or a video by selecting that, or you can just go to website like this and copy image from their website. Let's say I'm going to put copy image and paste it right here, or even inside one of these. By selecting this particular eclipse and paste your design, it will put the image inside that particular element. Okay. Now let's go to this particular one, pen. So if you want to create a logo or something, you can use pen tool. So in here, I will show you. So by using pen tool, you can create shapes like this, and you can fill it, and you can create whatever the shape that you like. And in pencil tool also, you can create certain elements, but you don't have that much of a control over the design that you did. If you have a touch screen or a tablet or anything with a pen that you can write on your screen, it will be helpful for you. Okay, next we have text element where we can type whatever the text that we like. And there are text properties as well. We are going to go through in detail with the document. And then finally, we have this particular resources where we have components, plugins, and widgets. So in Figma, they provide you with some basic components that you can use in the website. So if I go to components and pages and select this one, it will place about page component right here. So it will give you a layout for your design. And if I head back and go to plugins, there are plugins in Figma where you can search. Let's search for something I already have. So if let's say you want to install this particular plugin, you can click on run and it will show up in your plugin list. So right now I have installed these plugins. So if I open one of these plugins, it will show you pop up like this. So these are material design symbols from Google. So you can use these icons in your designs when you have that in your plugin list. So if you want to install one, add one, you can click on one of these and it will show up right here. So if I want this one, and you can control it by changing its color and so on. So more about that in later weeks. And then you can use this hand tool to go to different places in your screen. So when you have so many designs in your screen, you might have to scroll through and go to different areas in your screen. So you can use this hand tool to do that. Okay. Now, next we have this comment button. So as you know, the Figma is a collaboration tool. So whenever you do a design, you ask users for feedback or your core team members for feedback or even the client for the feedback. So when they get your design, what they can do is they can use these annotations uh, and click on whatever the place that they want to add the comment and add the comment they like. Let's say change the button color, and they can put someone in the team to address this issue. So, and then you post it, and after you solve the issue, you can mark it at resolve and it won't show up anymore. So those are the things that we have in this particular design. So I invite you to go through all these file, edit, view, object, and play around with different designs. And we will Okay, in here we have our account. So in here right now, I'm the one only using this particular design. So my name is only there. So if I go in here, I have more users. So all the users that in that particular design will display there. So if I want to spotlight my design, I can click on spotlight, and then you will get a prompt to follow me, and whatever I do in the screen, you will follow it without manually moving your cursor or anything. Then we have a share option where we can create a link and share with our co-designers or team members, and you can edit the controls, like whether they can view it or edit it, or do you want to put a password inside or whatever. And then we have this developer mode. So most of the free versions don't have this developer mode. So with developer mode, what we can do is when we send in this to our developers, we can use this developer mode and they can grab the code, the CSS code and the content from this particular developer mode switched on, and it will be easier for them to code based on that. So you can install plugins such as Figma to HTML or whatever, and it will give you the HTML code as well. But basically, it will give you all the style sheets and the content that the front-end developer require when we switch on this developer mode. So we have libraries as well, and you can use these libraries to gather some uh, designs or the components for your development. And then we have prototype and the present prototype section. So if I click it right now, it will look like this. So it will showcase the end product of our design. This is how it will look like. So we will go through them when we do the Figma advanced features in the classroom. And you can zoom in and zoom out by using this particular element. So I invite you to go through this particular part. So this is the properties in this section. So if I select this particular element, the text element, it will show you the properties. The position in the x-axis, position in the y-axis, the width of that. So if I reduce the width, it will look like this. If I change the width of this image, it will show the difference. An auto layout, as I mentioned in the previous image, all the images that they have added, everything is there. So I invite you to go through this particular part and try to create this design by using this wireframe. So you will make mistakes. That is okay, because even when I started my design career, actually Figma wasn't there. So we had to use applications like Photoshop and so on when we started the designing. And then we don't have this much of a control. So we made mistakes, and whenever we make a mistake, we learn something. So right now, the knowledge is cheap, as you know now. You can follow a YouTube tutorial and you can search online, Google, and find an answers to your problems, or even you can ask ChatGPT and he will tell you what to do when you face a problem. So I invite you to go through this layout and try to create something similar to this wireframe. I don't want you to follow this similar design and try to create. So more you design, more mistakes you make, the more you learn. So I invite every one of you to do the design. Zoom in and zoom out. So we have one question, how to zoom in and zoom out. It is the normal way that you zoom in and zoom out. So if you have a trackpad, just use the pinch and zoom option, and then zoom in is similar. So likewise, you use the same thing in other devices. So it is the same mechanism applied to Figma as well. Is it clear? Okay, so please do the design as I mentioned, this one. And if you face any problems during the design, try to Google it. If you don't find any answer, please ask on WhatsApp group chat. So I will give you an answer. So do the designs, and that is the only way that you can learn how to do designs using Figma.